Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Greetings, Algo artisans. The guy Cowboy here, aka Nick. We have some good data coming out this week. We're going to take a look at the usual suspects, but first, get your free algo. Link is in the description. Click the link, you'll get the algo, you'll see how I build it, you'll see how I turn it into code, and you'll see the tools that traders use to connect that to their exchange so it can trade while they're not at the computer. Now, the algo I provide for you is not ready for you to trade it. You have to optimize it, make sure it works for your trading style and whatever asset you're trading, but it is a pretty cool thing to watch. Okay, let's get into the charts. First, we're going to take a look at NASDAQ, USDJPY, EURUSD, Bitcoin, USD CAD, AUDUSD, GBPJPY, and gold. Before we actually measure these charts, we're going to take a look at the economic data that's coming out this week that can affect price movement in these charts, and that data is over on forexfactory.com. Okay, so tomorrow, not a ton of data. You do have one red folder event at 7:30 p.m. EST. That's the Australian GDP quarter over quarter. 2:30 a.m. EST, we have the Swiss CPI month over month, and then 8:15 a.m. EST is the ADP non-farm employment change, and that's roughly an hour before the market opens. Then we have the 10 a.m. ISM services PMI data coming out for the US. Thursday at 8:30 a.m. EST, we have the US unemployment claims. Friday, the 5th at 8:30 a.m. EST, we have Canadian employment data. And then we have at 10 a.m. EST, the US core PCE price index. That's an inflation metric. And then University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. Those are preliminary data coming out. Let's go into the charts, and we'll start with the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ has had a nice recovery. If we look back to the big move down everybody was concerned about when the Japanese yen was plowing upwards, well, we're going to see shortly that that's not the case right now, and the market has recovered. It looks pretty clearly like 24,000 was defended by the markets, and we're probably going to see a Fed rate cut this month. The odds are increasing, and that is part of why the market is moving up. As it stands, the market does seem to be struggling getting past this 25,000, 25.5 area, but I think it will slowly push up this week unless we get any surprises in the news, and we might see a high around 25.8, 28, unless we really see strong bullish news and price just really heads up hard. Going back to the end of October, the all-time high was 26,400, and that is the number to beat, but the current upper bound, I think, is going to end up being 25.8, and the lower bound probably at 24,600. Let's move on to USDJPY. This one is pretty bearish. I think we're going to see a little bit of a move up right now, just in the next few hours, but the upper bound right now is 156.57. I don't think price will reach that. It could. Price could go all the way up there to grab some liquidity, but in reality, I think it's going to stop around 156.12 and then head down, and that is the most bullish look right now. In fact, I think price might actually go sideways, not really do too much, go up to maybe 155.62 and then head down. The current sort of support right now is at 153.64, but there is a bit more also down at 152.79. If price were to breach that 153.62, then it might bounce at 152.82. We'll just see how that goes. Let's take a look over at EURUSD. Now, the euro high time frame is pretty bearish. I do expect this to go down and to the right for the remainder of this week. There's a local lower bound at 115.55. So price might kind of make its way down there slowly or not. It might be some of this data pushes the euro up a little bit higher as the dollar gets a little bit weaker in anticipation of rate cuts, but I expect either sideways or just down and to the right. Again, we might see some support at 155.55. Upper bound right now is 116.57 from a prior high. I don't think price is going to really even challenge that. And if price does breach 155.55, then the lower bound would be at that point 114.90, where price probably would make its way down there in a very bearish event for the euro or bullish event for the dollar. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's fallen substantially since the futures open. Now, of course, if we zoom out, Bitcoin's been rather bearish going back to really early October, and there was some news that came out that really pushed price down, and Bitcoin has sold off. And there were a lot of rumors as to why Bitcoin is selling off. You have large players with very old wallets selling into the market. There's a lot of different ideas out there, but the charts really are doing a decent job of telling us what's probably going to happen. Now, I expect Bitcoin actually to have a short-term recovery up to maybe 90,000. Now, of course, there's always that chance it could break above that, and as Bitcoin approaches 90,000, I would take a look at that and say, okay, I think this might go higher, but at this time, based on what I'm seeing, I think price may go up there to grab liquidity, head back down. I don't know that it's going to break the lower bound of roughly 80,000 right now this week. It might just kind of go sideways through the week. If we get a lot of bullish data coming out as far as news data, anything like that, any of the events I mentioned from Forex Factory, that might actually push Bitcoin up a little bit higher. But in the meantime, based on the algos, I expect sideways and maybe a little bit down with the lower bound at 80. And if it breaks through, then the lower bound is going to be down at 75,000. And I think that would actually see a pretty strong bounce right there. Now, whether or not it continues up after that in the following weeks, that remains to be seen. But I do think that 75,000 will see some action, or perhaps 73,000. But we're not there yet. Not going to worry about that right now. Let's go take a look at USD CAD. I don't expect a lot from USD CAD. High time frame, it's a bit bearish, but it's in a strong bit of a bounce right now, just a short-term bounce. So I think price is going to go sideways and then head down. Upper bound right now I think is going to be 140.53. I don't think price is going to go above that if we get a surprise move up, or at least it would be kind of a surprise to me. And then if price were just to really get bearish on this and the dollar got weak against the Canadian dollar, then I think price might make its way down to this 138.87 support. That's a little bit older and a little bit stronger than what we're seeing here at 139.39. Let's take a look at the Aussie dollar. This one I expect sideways and down. It may go all the way up to this 65.79 upper bound to grab some liquidity and then head down. That's possible. Or it may just simply kind of head down. I don't think we're going to see it touch this lower bound at 64.21. That would be rather bearish, but hey, that can happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but what I'm saying is I think we see what we see on the chart, and probably not going to go past 64.37 really, but that remains to be seen. Let's take a look at GBPJPY. I think pound yen will head down, meet some support at 204.23. Now, there is an odd chance that it could bounce a little bit higher before it heads down, but I do think it will break that support and head down towards lower bound of 202.35. If there is a surprise move up, then 207.24 will be the upper bound resistance for the beast. Let's take a look at gold. Now, I have gold in kind of projection mode, and while gold could actually head down before it heads up, I should account for that. It always could bounce over at 41.80 or so. I do think in the end gold is going to continue upwards, whether it goes down first or not. I wouldn't be surprised to see gold break this 42.60 high that it recently played with. I think it needs to gather a little steam first, and then it'll break. I don't think we'll see all-time highs this week, which is up at 43.84. Going back to October. I don't think we're going to see that, but it's possible because it's gold. All right, these are the charts this week, and thank you all for watching. Remember, at Algo Factory, what we do is we teach people how to build their own trading plan, their own algos, so that they can predict where price is going to go and when it's going to get there, and therefore extract money out of these markets on a regular basis. And a good way to understand how that works is to take a look at the free algo that I'm offering. There is a link in the description. If you click that link, there's a video. You get to see me create an algo, turn it into code, and you get to see the tools that people use to connect their algos to the market to trade for them. Now, the algo I provide for you is not ready for you to trade it. You have to optimize it, make sure it works for your trading style and whatever asset you're trading, but it is a pretty cool thing to watch. So please watch that. And then don't forget, we are live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8:30 a.m. EST on YouTube. So if you have any requests, go over to YouTube, make the request in the comments, and I will try to take a look at that chart during the show live for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp.